KOCT, its board of directors, staff, and the City of Oceanside do not support nor promote any candidates. We provide the following program as a public service for voters. All candidates have been invited to participate in this program, but not all were able to or chose to do so.
Welcome to KOCT's election forum for the 3rd District of the City Council here in Oceanside. I'm Alison St. John, your moderator, and thank you so much for joining us. We are sitting here in the Veterans Association of North County Center on Mission, and this is a nonprofit that is run by veterans for all the veterans and service members here in Oceanside and their families. It's a one-stop shop to help them, and we are extremely grateful to them for offering us this space for this very important forum. Now, the 3rd District is in the southwest of Oceanside. It runs south of Oceanside Boulevard down to Carlsbad border, and it's basically the southwestern quadrant of the city. You can check out a map on the city's website and see exactly where it is and whether you live in the 3rd District. This is the first time that residents of the 3rd District have voted for a city council member just for this one district. Back in 2018, Oceanside started with district elections for the city council. Districts 1 and 2 voted their representatives back then, and now it's the chance of people who live in districts 3 and 4. The district elections will give the candidates a chance really to represent more closely your particular interests and the diversity of your particular district, rather than having to run district-wide, citywide. Okay, now, in this next hour, we're going to hear from our 6 candidates for the 3rd District. All of these candidates have lived in Oceanside for years, some of them for decades, and they're all passionate about the future of Oceanside. So let's listen to what they have to say. We're going to start with opening statements, and I'm going to go in alphabetical order here, which means that Bill Batchelor will be the first. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you. My name is Bill Batchelor, and I've been an Oceanside resident for 30 years. I'm not a politician by trade or nature, but I'm at a point in my time where I want to give back to this town that has given me so much. Oceanside is, I'm a one-person walking billboard for this place. I love it dearly, and primarily I love its diversity. We have a range of places that run from South O through Fire Mountain to Maricosta to Tri-City area to Ocean Hills. They're all very diverse and need protecting, and I'm hoping to be here to be a voice of reason. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly Davis.
Hi, I am Kelly Davis, and I'm running for the Oceanside City Council District 3 seat to shift the council from a partisan body to a nonpartisan body of individuals. The Oceanside City Council was designed to be a nonpartisan body of individuals, and your vote for me will help fully represent our diverse city culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Ryan Kime.
Hi, I'm Oceanside City Council Member Ryan Kime. As your City Council member, I have fought to reduce crime, deliver balanced budgets, and improve our quality of life. As a former Oceanside police officer and law enforcement executive, I will continue to fight for us, keep our city safe, and get us through these tough times.
Thank you, Ryan. Amber Newman.
My name is Amber Newman. I am also running for Oceanside City Council District 3. I've lived in Oceanside for 15 years and counting. I'm the mother of 2 children who graduated from Oceanside high schools. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a community advocate that is involved in a variety of organizations. I sit on the board of the Oceanside Cultural Arts Foundation. I'm also a member of the Oceanside Charitable Foundation and volunteer on their membership committee. I advocate and fundraise for the LGBTQ Resource Center, sponsor events at OMA, the MLK Scholarship, and a champion of safe access that brings jobs and revenue to the city of Oceanside. Thank you.
Thanks, Amber. And Sherry Mackin. Sorry, I got the M&N mixed up. Sherry, go ahead.
Thank you. My name's Sherry Mackin, and people call me a doer. I raised my family in Oceanside. I retired from Oceanside Unified, where I dedicated my career helping students at risk. I've been successful protecting neighborhoods in the city from special interest developers. I led the successful effort that preserved our beach bandshell and Junior Seau Community Center. I kept El Corazon from being turned into a hotel golf course. I got a secret beach access open for public use and brought home over $7.3 million in grant funding to the city of Oceanside. And that, in part, is why I'm called a doer.
Thank you, Sherry. And David Zernick.
Yeah, hi, my name's Dave Zornick. I'm a San Diego State University graduate, and I've been practicing civil engineering for 27 years. I'm a single dad with 2 boys. The reason I'm running is I feel the city is heading in the wrong direction. There's more homeless people, less job opportunities, more traffic, and aging infrastructure. My plan is really to help the homeless and have the developers pay for the needed city infrastructure. The city employees need to be more respectful to our citizens. We got to have lower taxes and fees, and we have to do more to promote business here in the city of Oceanside.
Thank you very much, David. Okay, so my first question for you is about growth and development in Oceanside. The city is basically required by the state to produce a certain number of new homes in order to meet a quota set by the state. It is more than 5,400 homes for the next period. Where in Oceanside do you think those homes should be built? And Sherry, I'd like to start with you.
Thank you. This is a perfect opportunity to go from stack and pack into smart growth, true smart growth. And our transit corridors is exactly where that growth belongs. We have Oceanside Boulevard's been named a transit corridor, Mission Avenue, the Coast Highway, and we need to start looking to putting homes there rather than sprawl, such as the project that was proposed by the City Council to go on the agricultural land.
Okay, just a quick yes or no. I'm going to ask each of this at the end of your answer. Did you support the North River Farms project or oppose it?
Oh, I've been endorsed by Let Oceanside Vote. I collected signatures.
A yes or no answer?
Oh, I'm going to vote no.
No. Thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome.
So Ryan, your position on growth.
So I think we need to do a better job of utilizing underutilized infill right now, and that is also smart growth. You're going to hear that term a lot, but what it really means is we take advantage of our roadways, transit, and infrastructure. And when you look at Oceanside, we have a lot of that we could really do a better job in using different areas of the city. We have open, whether it's underutilized business right now, we have a ton of opportunity to do that, and I think as we do that, it will be it'll give us an opportunity to provide workforce housing. And workforce housing is a critical need right now, and that's how our police, our teachers, our firemen can start a family and live here. It doesn't necessarily mean a 5,000 square foot house. It can be a smaller unit and a more accessible part of the town at a cheaper price.
Thank you, Ryan. Kelly.
The question was where, could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yes, so where in the city of Oceanside should these 5,400 homes be built in the next few years?
Well, I was looking at, again, I am a citizen just like you, and when I heard about some of the development, particularly the one over there by the 76, that new drive-in, I wanted to look more around that area of maybe building homes, and not just homes, but homes with the consideration of our military members and our senior community, to really be more focused on helping those communities that have been, the military. I can't think of a better group of people that deserve to be in some homes, and I will have to look more further into exactly where these homes could be built, and I am no on North River Farms.
And Ryan, are you yes or no on North River Farms?
I'm no. As a city council member, I voted no on the project.
Okay, thank you. David Zernick.
Alison, thank you so much for that question. The city has a direct hand in the housing situation here in the city, and I know firsthand it's very difficult to get a permit down at City Hall. One of the main obstacles to obtaining that permit is the fees. The fees are astronomical. Typically, to build one new house in the city of Oceanside, it would cost around $50,000 just in fees alone. So the city needs to do more to reduce those fees, and then also the time period to obtain a permit. It's very slow. Any kind of entitlement project process would take up to 2 years. So as your councilman, I would make every effort to lower those fees and also reduce the time period that it would take to obtain that permit. Now, as far as the location, I'm supporting all the above, infill development, increased density, and also in the outlying areas.
Yes or no on North River Farms?
Yes, I support
Thank you, David.
approving things.
Great. Amber?
Well, I think it's obviously been said, infill is where we do need to start looking, and then I do agree with that. We need to look at transit corridors and things like that. I'd like to see the city take a more proactive role in determining these specific locations. The city needs to be looking out and say, okay, where do we have space? What can we build? What's appropriate for this area? Now let's go find somebody to build it. You know, if we want affordability, we are going to have to talk density. Nobody likes that word, but it is reality. And start there, and then we work our way out from there if we need to. I mean, 5,444 homes is what we are required to build according to the latest draft RENA numbers. And surprisingly enough, half of that is above market rate homes. So we've got to look at solutions for all different price points, all the way from the very low income to the more affluent. And I think we've got a lot of space to do it. We just have to do it strategically. We start infill, and then we work our way out from there.
And yes or no on North River Farms?
Well, you know, the referendum Measure L is a tough one. I do not think that North River Farms is a perfect project, but I'm also...
Yes or no?
I'm undecided on it. It doesn't do what it's advertised.
You're just not going to vote?
No, I'll be voting on it. I'm just trying to decide which side of that fence I'm going to be sitting on.
Thank you, Amber. Bill, yes, Bill, go ahead.
Thank you for the question, and I think Amber's spot on a lot of her responses. Where is the question? So let's try to not be a politician and answer where. I think that Oceanside Boulevard is sitting right on a rail line with train stations. It is a tremendous opportunity to see a lot of growth there. We have infill, we have higher density, we have greenfield, right? And they're all a challenge, all versions of them depending on where they go. We can do this, but what's really important is what we build more than where we build. I think what we're really running into is neighbor pushback because what we're building is not in harmony with the architectural style and feel of the neighborhood they're being put in. I genuinely believe that if we can make sure that we mimic and match the existing cultural diversity of what we build, we'll have plenty of opportunity to make those numbers. And as for North River Road Farms, I am a no on it. And it's not because I'm anti-development, it's because that is a precious piece of property that I think needs to be protected for other reasons.
Thank you, Bill. Yes. So the next question, Ryan Keim, I'd like you to be the start. It's about homelessness. The San Diego Regional Task Force for the Homeless says that more than 400 people are homeless in Oceanside. That's probably an underestimation, and fewer than half of them are in shelters. What do you know about the city's current plans to help the homeless, and what more would you do?
I think it's a fantastic question, and I think going forward after COVID, this will be our #1 priority, and for Oceanside to be successful, we have to get it right. And as you said, 400 would be an understatement, 400 homeless in our city. As an Oceanside police officer, I've worked intimately with this problem for a decade, and there is a multitude of issues that can cause someone to be homeless. You know, with mental health issues and drug abuse as the top two. And to have any success, you have to address those. So going forward, for me, it's a two-prong approach, and I'll get to what the city's going to do. But we have to provide essential services, and we're starting to do that already. We're going to open a shelter hopefully next year, and it's going to be, and the way we run the shelter is going to be important. And we also, this year, also started a sobering services center with our Measure X tax money. And so what that's going to do is get someone off the street who's either high or under the influence or drunk, and put them into a place other than jail that will get them connected with a counselor, someone that can get them permanent treatment. So in one hand, we have to provide those services and help people take the next step, but just as importantly, we have to address the crime associated with homelessness. And for the past 5 years, we see many of these quality of life crimes rising. And so we've also started to address that. We have a crime suppression team that's specifically dealing with those. We've also added an extra homeless outreach team so we can identify who needs services, what they need. But let me be clear, this is not an Oceanside issue. This issue is a regional, statewide issue, And we need to partner with different cities, the county especially, and make sure that we have mental health facilities and mental health treatment. And until we do that, we are going to have challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Davis.
I personally would like to see the city and all of us as citizens look at this particular issue with more care instead of contempt. I was very fortunate as a young adult to work in the shelter system, and I have to tell you, we all are just one natural disaster or one circumstance away from being homeless. And to imply that the homeless are these unruly drug addicts, I mean, especially in this time of COVID-19, what's going to happen to our working class families when the eviction moratorium is lifted? Will they be homeless too? And these are our working class families. I would encourage the city to allocate finances or reallocate funds to support organizations like Oceanside Homeless Resource. Vanessa Graziano has done tons of work just as a citizen, and this problem isn't a city issue with our people. It is a citizen issue for us to stop talking about sweeping and cleaning the homeless and seeing if we could maybe volunteer a little bit more resources or our time to this very complex issue.
Thank
I
you.
would like to see that. Okay.
Thank you, Kelly. Bill Batchelor.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, the homeless, everybody has said, and we know this is much more than a City of Oceanside situation or problem. First, there's been a couple case laws passed, one in Los Angeles, one in Boise, Idaho, which is going to force every city to do their part. Oceanside has had an abundance of compassion compared to a lot of the cities around us. Those cities being forced to carry their share of the problem is going to allow us to be a lot more focused. We need to do two things with homeless. First off, we need to provide all of the services that are required. Second is that we need to do it in a way that tries to minimize the interactions with our citizens of people that make them uncomfortable because of drug addiction, mental illness, etc. People that do not want to, quote, deal with the homeless on our streets is not because they lack compassion. It's because it makes them uncomfortable, and we need to honor that. So I believe that not only has the city started to do a very good job, Ryan and the current folks that are on council have passed some important things and some funding redirections, but we need to do it in a way that also helps to minimize the impacts that our citizens have so that they feel safe in their own community.
Thank you, Bill. Amber Newman.
Well, I hate to parrot the same, but it's true. This is not an Oceanside issue. This is a regional issue. This is something that we're going to need to work with our neighboring cities, the county, the state, the federal government to resolve. We do obviously need to provide the essential services. We need to have day centers. We need places where homeless can go to kind of be connected with the services that they need. We also have to realize that there are different levels, I guess, different scales. There are people who want help, and if we can get them in touch with those services quickly, they can get the help, we can get them off the streets, we can get them back in. Kind of the low-hanging fruit, as they say. But then there are those that are also more entrenched and more content with their lifestyle, and we need to find a way to address those issues as well. Because we do have quality of life issues surrounding this, and I agree with Bill that people are not, nobody wants to just sweep them under the rug like they're nothing. People have compassion, we all have compassion, but we also have real life, everyday safety concerns for person and property, and those need to be addressed as well. The things that we do have to focus on are shelter. I do understand that Oceanside has a shelter coming. I'm not 100% sure that Ocean Shores area is the right place to put it, but that's a different subject. But we also need to deal with the mental health issues, drug addiction. Can we partner with nonprofits to provide these resources? Whatever we do, though, needs to have metrics of accountability and success.
Thank you. Thank you, Amber. And David Zernick. And part of the question was, what do you know about what the city is already doing to improve the services for the homeless, and what would you do more?
Okay, thank you, Alison, for that question. And we have to do more to help the homeless. The homeless situation over the last few years has gotten worse. And particularly where I live, there's a number of homeless people in my neighborhood. Some of the answers are complicated, some are a little easier. So what I'd like to talk about is some of the easy things that we can do to help homeless people. One of the things is at the existing recreational facilities that we have is to add lockers and showers there. That way, if a person is homeless, they can take a shower, clean up. No one would even know that they were homeless. So that's an easy thing we can do to really help out a homeless person. Another thing we can do is we've got this great harbor. We allow 10% liveaboards. You can live on your boat. We can increase that from 10% to 20%. It's an easy thing. We can provide a low-cost situation for someone. Some other alternatives are to open a campground in the city and provide an alternative. You know, one of the big problems we have here in town is, and this has been going on for many years, every year the price of housing has gone up and the homeowners love it, but the truth is, if you don't have the money, you can't afford it, and it's hurting the people without money. So we just need to make it easier to get a permit so we can have more houses for people.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question, Kelly Davis. Sherry.
I didn't answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're so right. Thank you for jumping in. Sherry Mackey.
Thank you very much
Homeless.
for the question. You know, the council has kicked the can down the road for far too long on this issue, for years, absolutely years. I was in Texas in February, pre-COVID, and they had some great ideas rolling around about homelessness. There was a large population in Austin, Texas, of homeless folks, and they were in the process of purchasing hotels. And I thought, what a novel idea. Some of the hotels that aren't performing as would be expected, and they're in transit corridors, they're close to services, close to employment, possible employment. So I think that's an awesome idea, and I just happened to read in the paper, I think it was yesterday, that Escondido has done that. Interfaith has purchased a hotel and is going to transition to making it a place where homeless folks will be able to get sober, have the services they need, and provide. Now, I know the city is looking at Ocean Shores High School property as a possible sobering center, and I think we can do much better than that. There's a school that's proposed just, a few yards away from that, and I would propose that we actually look at a couple of underperforming hotels, make some offers to these folks. A couple come in mind, I'm not going to mention them here, but instead purchase that property from the school district, put Oceanside Police Department on it next to the firehouse, build a nice station and central area for OPD, therefore opening up a core zone for our much needed fields for our kids.
Great. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
So the next question, Kelly, I'd like you to start, and it's about Black Lives Matter, which has rocked the nation, and we've seen protests here in Oceanside as well. What do you think, if elected, you would do to make any changes to the Oceanside Police Department, if any?
And before I answer that question, Alison, I just can't turn off my producer side. Are we under a time constraint or not? I can't see it very well. Yes, and I did feel cut off on the last question because I felt I wasn't able to fully express that. So am I given a minute or
You are given a minute.
Okay, and are you giving that to me or is this young woman?
I am going to give it to you.
Okay,
From now
thank you.
on.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Okay, so Black Lives Matter protests have rocked the whole country, including here in Oceanside. If you were elected, what, if anything, would you do to make changes in the Oceanside Police Department?
Well, one of those changes is, this is why I'm running for the Oceanside City Council District 3 seat, because we need a more diverse body of individuals that will give a fuller perspective onto the council. I was deeply touched by the movement, and I think there needs to be a police oversight committee, and I think the Oceanside Justice Coalition package, and you can look that up online, for due to time I cannot go all into it, but I do align with the Oceanside Justice Coalition package, and I think that will solve many of the problems in oversight and how to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Now, Bill Batchelor.
Thank you. Black Lives Matter is long overdue. Let me just start with that. The Oceanside Police and changes that can be made is, first, I'd like to see the funding that goes to the Oceanside Police Department that is being used for social services to be taken out. So this is not a defunding. This is not a reduction of funds for their primary business. It's just to determine how much money is being spent by social services, remove that funding, and move it to people that are professional social services individuals, right? So the police department actually would support that because it's part of their business that they don't seem to care to be doing as well. That's one of the primary things. The second thing is a citizen oversight committee for complaints that rise to a certain level that need to have citizen transparency. I know it makes the police department uncomfortable because what they do is really, really hard. And I understand that they want to make sure that they protect their processes so that they can protect the people that serve us. But I think in this day and age, that sort of transparency is required. So those are the two primary things. Thanks, Alison.
Amber Newman.
Well, you know, I do think that we do have some work that needs to be done here, obviously, with the body of OPD itself, which I love OPD, so, but we do need diversity in hiring. We need a police department that resembles the communities that it's working in. I think that we also need to take a real close look at who we bring on to replace Chief McCoy when he retires. We need a nationwide search, and we need to find the chief that is experienced in expanding diversity and stuff within the ranks. We absolutely need the Citizen Oversight Committee, and it needs to be something more than advisory. We need open transparency, but we also need that committee to be able to investigate, come to a resolution, and have that resolution moved up the chain of command for action. It can't just be something where everybody shows up and talks and goes home. It needs to be able to move items forward.
Thanks,
so I think
Amber.
if we get the community involved in that as well.
And David Zernick.
Okay, to start off the question, we got to have police. There's no eliminating the police. It's a necessary thing, and I think OPD is doing a pretty good job now. There's room for improvement. We have crime in Oceanside, and my aim is to lower it. Now, overall, the police need to be more respectful, and all the citizens, all the employees need to be respectful to the citizens. We need more of that, regardless of race, to everyone, whether they're, it doesn't matter their race. Now, if the police are doing something that's negligent, they need to be held accountable the same as anyone else. But I think the system that we have right now is actually pretty good, but it needs a little bit of improvement.
Okay, thank you, David. So the next question
Sherry?
was, Sherry.
And I'm next.
I beg your pardon.
Thank you
and
very
Ryan
much.
will also get to you.
Okay.
All right. So I, like Kelly, wholeheartedly support the Oceanside Justice Coalition. That is a movement of very involved people within the community, many that grew up here and are ready for change. We need to empower our people by letting them be involved in the process, the current process that the city manager has for finding our new chief of police. Is more of a done deal thing rather than the open process that we really need here in Oceanside. I do think that we really need to work. We do have officers that are in community policing, but I think we can do a better job than we have done. So we all have room for improvement. And again, starting with Oceanside Justice Coalition, I urge everyone to go on Facebook and seek them out because I think they have the solution for our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. Ryan Kine.
I think we need to understand the progress we've made in the city and how we got to where we are today. The last 10 years, we've had a 60% drop in violent gang crime, and that's taken a lot of work, and we can always do better. So in my policing career, I worked in our community policing units and our gang unit, and then I also was on the executive management team at the third biggest sheriff's department in the country. And I learned one thing. If you want a successful police department or law enforcement agency, you have to hire the very best officers, you have to provide them the very best training, and then you have to have the best supervision and leadership to hold them accountable. And I think we're doing those things in Oceanside. It doesn't mean that we can't make improvements, and we need to do that every day. And if you're not looking to how you can improve as a law enforcement agency, you're gonna fail. But I think right now, we have one of the best police departments, if not in the county and in the state. And so we need to acknowledge what they're doing right, and then also look for improvements.
Thank you. So the next question is about the city's budget, which has been hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic and has lost millions in revenue. If elected, how would you cover for a budget gap that could reach into the millions?
Thank you. Fiscal responsibility and financial prudence is one of my fortes. I always tell people that nobody's surprised to hear there's waste in government. This is what we need to do specifically. Any project that can be put off without having significant impacts needs to be put off until we figure out how much this financial impact is going to be. At this point, we don't even know. We're at the beginning of it. The Measure X money, every time I turn around, somebody is saying that we can use Measure X money. They imply that this is an unlimited amount of money that's going to come in that can be used over and over again. We need to be careful that we haven't already budgeted 7 years of Measure X money in our first year of just talking about it. I'll be blunt, it's insanity. So there is plenty of areas that we can reel things back in to make sure that we are being financially conservative and careful to ride this thing out, whatever it turns out to be.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Amber.
There, obviously, COVID is going to, we're not even close to knowing where we're going to be at with that. So there are things we knew. I do agree with Bill. We need to delay unnecessary projects, hang on to that money until we see where things are at. Each department needs to be examining their budgets very closely, line item to line item, remove what doesn't need to be there, save what needs to be there. We need to look at our investment portfolio, see what type of liquidity options we have available that we can pull from should push comes to shove and we actually need that money now, explore those options, and then we need to basically help our small businesses stay open to keep that revenue coming in, to have places for the residents to spend money, the tourists to spend money. We need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that our local businesses are able to keep those doors open and employees working.
Thanks, Amber. So David Zernick, where would you make cuts?
What I would do is, I believe the government needs to be more efficient overall. We need to just simply increase the level of service and just do more with less. We just had a half-cent sales tax increase recently, and so I don't support any more increases. We need to balance this thing with the money that's available now. In Oceanside, there's a number of management staff members that make over $200,000 a year. I feel that that's excessive, and the executive pay needs to be more in line with average citizens. And
Thank you. Thank you.
let's leave it there.
Okay, Sherry Mackin.
Thank you. All departments have been asked to reduce their budgets by 10%, and thus far they've met that from what I can see. And that'll get us through this cycle. But the bigger question here is, problem I should say, is the city of Oceanside has relied on tourism, so much on tourism that that's caused a problem. More tech, less tourism. What we can do to change that would be to quit zoning properties for housing and zone to provide workspace, places for tech and biotech industry. Also improve the connectivity from jobs to transit and move forward with the rail trail along the Sprinter Line East. Continue with work with Miracosta and add Cal State San Marcos and provide interns for Oceanside to transition into the workforce. More tech, less tourism.
Okay. And Ryan Kime?
I'm proud of the way our city council, and city management have dealt with this. We initially, during our budget process in June, forecasted an $8.5 million budget cut. And so we, due to some planning, we had enough salary savings, almost $4.5 million right away from unfunded positions that we plugged that gap. So we haven't really had to cut much yet. And right now, our sales tax is going back better than we thought. So I think we could be in a good position. And that had a lot to do with some of the actions we took after the Great Recession. We really leaned out, we cut excess positions, we saved money, and that really positioned us well for this. So I positioned us better than many other cities close by. And I want to correct something that I just heard about us being a tourist, funded by tourism. That's one of the reasons why we're doing well right now, is because we are more funded by property tax. And so some of our neighbors to the south have a much higher transient occupancy or hotel tax or sales tax, so they're seeing much bigger cuts. So right now, because of that, we have more stability and we're actually doing a better job.
Thank you. Okay. Kelly Davis.
Could you please repeat the question?
Sure. The COVID-19 quarantine has affected all the cities, and we just heard, for example, that the city of San Diego lost 300 million, so Oceanside is likely to lose some millions from its budget. What would you do in order to balance the budget if you needed to cut?
Well, being a citizen of Oceanside, I am really looking forward to seeing what that budget actually looks like and exactly where those funds are being allocated. And yes, we hear that it's this and that, but I have had a mistrust and want to really be on that council to really see what is really being done and how it is being allocated. I know we have some things on the measures like the cannabis tax and such to help during a time like this and beyond, but I really would like to get more information by seeing exactly what's being done on the council.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. At this point, I would like to invite each of you to ask one of the other candidates one question. You'll have 15 seconds or so to ask the question, and then 30 seconds to respond. Okay? So, Amber Newman, you're at the beginning.
I honestly didn't see this coming until today, and I don't have a question at this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Amber. David Zernick.
Okay, this one's for Kelly O. What is your plan to help our most needy citizens?
What is the plan to help
Our most, like homeless or people that are struggling? What's your plan to help out our most needy citizens?
I would like to, what I wanted to say in the other answer is to give more support to those organizations who are already doing the work. The Oceanside Resource does wonderful work, WRC, Interfaith, as well as Tender Loving Mercies. I'd like to see if there's a way to support those services that are already doing the work, and also, as unsexy as this is going to sound, ask our citizens to participate in those organizations or what they can personally do, because it's going to take us as a community working together to get through this.
Thank you. Sherry Mackin, do you have a question for somebody?
Yes, I do. I have a question for Ryan. Ryan, you stated, and I quote, as a city council, this is with regards to Measure L, as a city council member, I voted no on the project. My question to you, what will your vote be on November 3rd on Prop L?
So as a city council member, I voted no on the project. On November 3rd, I'm going to vote no as well. And I think we can plan Morrow Hills and have a comprehension vision plan out there and actually figure out what we can develop there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Always good to be on the record. So Ryan Keim, what is your question?
I have a question for Ms. Mackin. You stated that you've been involved with the Oceanside Justice Coalition. The Justice Coalition has publicly advocated for cutting funds to the Oceanside Police Department. If you were a city council member, would you support cutting Oceanside Police Department budget and reducing officers?
What I support, excuse me, as far as reducing any funds going to the police department, it would be the grant funding that they are collecting for social services. I believe social services should be administered by people who are professionals in social working and not police officers.
Would you?
Okay, sorry, we have to move on. Thank you for the answer, Sherry. Kelly Davis, do you have a question?
I do. It actually is for Ryan Keim. It starts with, on July 16th, part of the Fire and Police Commission that you sit on, you stated that everything was all good, pretty much, with the city, and you're really happy with the way the police department and things are progressing. And then shortly after that, Chief McCoy retired. Why am I running is because I want to know what is it that you base that on when so much upheaval was occurring in our city, and more specifically with diversity. How do you see bringing that into the recruiting into the police department?
Okay. Thank you for the question. I think it's a great question because that's one thing where we've shined at with diversity, and I'll answer that first. Our police department makeup, the demographics almost mirror the cities exactly, and that's important because we need police officers that represent their community. And so if that changes in the future, then we need to do whatever we can to do more outreach, whether it's in high schools, colleges, and make our police department more diverse.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Bill Batchelor, do you have a question?
I know my fellow citizens that are running very well, so I don't really have, nor did I prepare a question. You know what, I do have a question, because from sitting back here, I'd like to know who cuts Ryan's hair, because it looks really sharp.
Okay, thanks for that little light relief. And at this point, Amber Newman, I'm going to ask if you have changed your mind and would like to ask a question. No?
No, I have had many conversations with several of my fellow candidates, and I think I understand
Okay.
a lot of them.
Let's talk about jobs. Where are we at? We're at David Zernick to start with this one. Thank you, David. So many Oceanside residents commute elsewhere to work. What specifically do you have in mind to attract more good-paying jobs to Oceanside?
Okay, the city can help people start businesses, so we need to do more to streamline the business opening process and make it easy to start a business here in town. Now, just simply the attitude of the employees that they're helping a new business owner start a business, I think that makes a big difference. Another thing is, as far as the business license tax goes, for small businesses that make under $100,000 a year, I'd like to waive that entirely to just remove a barrier. And again, like I've been saying, another easy way to create a lot of jobs here in town is, again, to issue building permits. You know, each time a permit is issued, you just created a number of jobs. So there's some easy things to do that don't cost a lot to really help the employment situation.
Okay, thanks, David. Sherry Mackin.
Thank you, and I think I stated this before. We need to quit zoning property for tourism and housing outside of our general plan. So we can provide workspaces and places for tech and biotech industry, improve connectivity to jobs, to transit, and move forward with the rail trail along the Sprinter Line East. That's really important that we have that bike path that goes through. A lot of people who are employed with in tech industry do take part in riding bikes to work. Continue to work with Miracosta and Cal State, provide interns from Oceanside to transition into the workforce. While on the council, I did work with Cal State San Marcos closely on a couple of projects, and I most certainly would like to take part in that again. Thank you.
Thanks. Ryan Keim, how to attract good jobs to Oceanside?
There's a couple different answers to that because it's a complicated topic. But first of all, I do agree we need to make sure that we keep our industrial and commercial property zoned that way. Also, Oceanside is we're a small business community. We don't have as many of the big businesses. So it's our job as city council or city leadership to make our community as business friendly as possible. And we need to do a lot of outreach. We need to talk to our businesses and say, what is it going to take to keep you here? Or prospective businesses, what can we do to make you want to come here? And those, maybe it might be 10 jobs. It's a restaurant or a surf shop, but those jobs mean a lot. And we also, on the other hand, need to look for different opportunities, whether it is tech or biomanufacturing. We can do a lot of different things, but we just need to listen and see what city policies we're creating that will either attract more jobs or more businesses.
Thanks. Kelly Davis.
So attracting more jobs and businesses, I'm going to talk about an unpopular way of looking at this, again, bringing a different perspective to this, and encourage entrepreneurship and invention. There are several free resources that we can tap to as a community to really explore the vision behind this. It's not going to happen overnight, but because of the job market, because of so many businesses closing, we have to kind of go back to the old days of creating our own kinds of businesses. And the SBA.gov, there's SCORE, there's a whole lot of resources we can to vision for ourselves to create our own business and really start to begin to think about how we can, as individuals, bring industry to Oceanside and North County. Thank you.
And Bill Batchelor, bringing good jobs to Oceanside, good paying jobs.
Sure, this is City Planning 101. There's a couple of key things that we can do. First off, we need to reach out to businesses and coax them and talk to them about why they should come here. This might mean some changes to some of the current zoning, which means things like allowing buildings to go to a 4th or 5th floor. Land is incredibly expensive, and large companies like biotech and science and engineering are making their decisions based on what the cost it is to do things in a particular area. If we can allow them to put in higher density of their employees with the same cost, that is a huge draw. We also have the rail system here. I would love to see shuttles that run like they do in Serrano Valley, that are free, that run from the train station into our high-tech and biotech corridors and back, meeting every train for free. This allows people to move in and out of the city easy without increasing traffic. So there's some really slick and smart design things that we can do that make this an attractive place to do business. The town speaks for itself. People already want to live and work here. We just need to create the jobs so that they have the chance to do that.
Thank you, Bill. Amber Newman.
I would agree with a lot of what's been said already. Obviously, we do need to make sure that we keep our industrial space industrial. I mean, we've got very low vacancy rating in many of these areas, and so being able to add to that stock would be good. We need to have, we need to go out and find who do we want to open shop in Oceanside. Get them on the phone. Okay, what's it going to take to get you here? We work the numbers. Can we get you to move here? And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, we move on to the next company. But we need to be a little more proactive in finding the companies that we want to see move here. We also need to help entrepreneurs. It's scary to start your own business. It's cumbersome. There's a lot of paperwork. A lot of people don't know where to start, but they have really great ideas. So perhaps the city could put together a plan, working with Mayor Costa, having entrepreneurial type training classes, incentivizing, potentially helping them get started, get the ball rolling. We need to streamline the CUP process. There are some recent licensees that have been sitting on buildings for over a year that they haven't been able to occupy because the conditional use permit took that long to get.
Thank you.
So we just need to streamline things.
Thank you. Okay. So I want to talk about the environment now, and Sherry, I believe you're going to start on this one. So we have wildfires threatening so many communities. We have sea level rise, which is particularly important for Oceanside because the city's vulnerability assessment report suggests that the Strand and Harbour Drive could flood regularly by 2040 if we don't do anything. What can a city do about the challenges of climate change?
Well, first off is we do have a climate action plan, and that was approved, but unfortunately it doesn't have teeth in it. As a teacher, we would go back and look at our goals for our students and goals for ourselves as professionals and create objectives along the way. I didn't see that in our climate action plan. There's no teeth, no accountability. I would like to see our climate action plan addressed in every development that comes forward. What are we doing? How much closer are we creeping to get there? I wouldn't approve these ridiculous stack and pack projects that they've been approving without making sure that we're meeting some goal in our climate action plan. So accountability is huge, and I would like to make sure we're accountable.
Thank you. Ryan Kime, what can a city do about climate change and sea level rise?
So obviously it's a global issue, but specific things we can do. First, we did pass our first climate action plan, and I think that's going to get refined over time and get better. And that's doing our part with that, and we can probably make improvements. As far as protecting the coast, the most sure way to make sure we protect infrastructure and property is by replenishing our beaches. And so that for the next 20 years, however much sea level rise we'll have, sand could play a major factor in doing that. So this year I went to Washington, D.C. to lobby on behalf of the city for the Army Corps of Engineers to finally do their 20-year, we've been waiting 20 years for a sand replenishment study. So we didn't get a firm commitment, so we decided to put our own plan in action, and we're going to have the results from that first consultant's report soon, and to see what we can do to get sand on the beach.
Thank you. Thank you. Kelly Davis, what about climate change and sea level rise?
First of all, I think Russ Cunningham and Mr. Koger, regards to the Oceanside Climate Action Plan, I think they have done a really, really good job. And for sake of time, if the citizens want to look at Table 18, which summarizes the measures to which the city has committed itself, I think that is to familiarize what's going on and what the city has done. I would continue to defer to Russ Cunningham, and I am very confident that the city with Russ at the helm is actually meeting some of the requirements, which is the renewable energy, the urban forestry, and several other aspects of the climate action plan that has been met. And they are meeting.
Bill Batchelor.
Thank you. Yes, the climate action plan that was recently passed was a really good step forward. It is easy to say that we can't do anything here because this is a much bigger problem. The bigger problem is that everybody says that, so nothing gets done. We must be proactive in this city and lead by example. The current sand replenishment ideas that are being considered are very expensive, they're very versatile, but they're very worthwhile. We cannot underestimate the economic impact that the loss of our beaches would have. I would like to see us become a bellwether, a leading person that does things, for example, an ordinance that says all new homes must have solar panels on them, more bike paths and alternative means of transportation. So there's more things that we can do, and again, they might seem that it is in an isolated world because we can't fix the global problems, but we must lead by example.
Thank you, Bill. Amber Newman.
I agree. Obviously, I think the city is off to a good start with what it's doing. We've got the climate action plan. We need to kind of go a little further into climate stabilization. Sand replenishment goes without saying. If we're going to have a coastline, we definitely have to protect it. Development needs to be green. Whatever it is, they need to be using renewable resources. But we have Green Oceanside, and Green Oceanside is phenomenal. In fact, our business that we have down on Oceanside Boulevard just switched to the food scrap recycling program, for example. It's cut our landfill contribution down by half, and all of those food scraps goes into creating renewable energies. So if we can continue forward in these paths and along these motions, and whatever it does, just like with the Citizen Committee on Policing and things like that, it needs to have measurable metrics that show success, and there needs to be consequences for not meeting those mandates.
Thank you. And finally, David Zernick.
Okay, I think Bill had a great idea there about requiring these solar panels, because it's my understanding with the new codes that is going to be required now. So that's already going. So that's a good thing that's happening.
And so I did something already. Thank you.
As a city and as a country, we gotta pollute less. I mean, pollution is bad. The environment is very important. I think as individuals, we have to drive less. Just use what you need. Do not be wasteful. The city's climate action plan is a good start. Now, as far as sea level rise goes, I think it's important that the people that have houses on the beach are allowed to add riprap to their retaining walls there on the coastline. Again, right now that's heavily regulated, and it would take months and months and thousands of dollars to get a permit to do that. So we need to waive all that and let them do that. And again, as far as the fires go, we need to have more of these controlled burns, particularly in the San Luis Rey River, and we can get flooding there because of all the vegetation. The larger trees need to be cut down there. So there's things that we can do to prevent these fires and floods.
Okay. So it's my understanding that we need to move into closing statements at this time. I'd like to invite you each to give around 30 seconds of a closing statement. Why should you be the representative for District 3 in Oceanside? And Bill, we'll start with you again.
Thank you. I just want to go a little bit off script and mention that I'm completely self-funded. Every political party that comes with an endorsement in money, every union, every large investor and developer, it all counts for something. And partially they own you. I'm completely self-funded because I want to not have to answer to anybody but the citizens. You won't find anybody that has more insights and care for this city than I do. And if that's what you're looking for, I'm your candidate.
Thank you, Bill. Amber Newman.
I'm running because over the years of speaking to council on a variety of subjects, I got frustrated to see how egos and personal bias rule the day. My intention is to bring fairness and equitable treatment to everybody. Voices should not be stifled or ignored because of personal opinions. We need to fact-based decision-making, and we need to keep it free from emotion. There's work to do, and we just need to get nose to the grindstone and do it. And everybody deserves a level playing field that's not influenced by outside interests or personal relationships.
Great, thanks, Amber. David Zernick.
Okay, In conclusion, my name's Dave Zernick. I feel the city's heading in the wrong direction. My plan is to do more for the homeless, have developers pay for the city's needed infrastructure, that the city employees need to be more respectful to our citizens. We need to lower taxes and fees, and we have to just do more to promote business here in town.
Thank you. Sherry Mackin.
Thank you. A vote for me is a vote to stop insider special interest politics that have clogged our streets with traffic congestion and raised our taxes. On the first day as your representative, I will vote to require a traffic congestion study before approval of high-density projects. I will demand that our existing short-term rental rules be enforced. I will vote to make El Corazon a park. This land is for people, not only commercial development. I will put an end to housing developers throwing cash at the city to avoid building affordable housing.
Thank you,
Vote for
Sherry.
me, Sherry Mackin, to take back control of our town and our lives. And when I go lobbying for money, I get it.
Ryan Keim.
We are going through some of the most difficult times in recent memory. Now more than ever, we need leadership that has the experience and ability to get us through that. I've spent almost my entire career working for the city of Oceanside. I have the relationships and the knowledge that can carry us to that next level.
Thank you, Ryan. And Kelly Davis.
Hi, I'm Kelly Davis. That's Kelly with an I-E, Davis. Kelly Davis, and I'm running as an independent candidate. 30 seconds is just too short of a time, so I'm going to ask you to log on to youtube.com, Kelly Davis for Oceanside. Look at my videos to see where I stand, as well as my website, kellydavisforoceanside.com. And let's imagine a brighter future together for Oceanside. I respectfully ask for your vote. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of our 6 candidates for the 3rd District very much for coming on and for running for public office. It's very encouraging to see so many people interested in serving on the City Council. If you want to find out more about these candidates, I highly encourage you to go to KOCT. They each have a statement which is several minutes long and will give you a bit more of an insight into their priorities. And remember, because there are quite a few candidates this year, every vote will count. So remember to vote. And I'm Alison St. John. Thank you so much for watching.